Hello everyone. Welcome back to Life Single Channel. This is Day and Huyen. And today we have such joy in our hearts to share with you. After days of worry and struggle, after nights in uncomfortable hospital chairs and moments of fear, we finally have good news. What makes a house truly feel like home? Is it the walls and the roof? Is it the furniture and the comfort? Or is it something deeper, something that cannot be built with hands? Today, Day comes home from the hospital. Today, their little family reunites after being separated by illness. Today, we witness what home really means. Join us as we celebrate the simple, beautiful moment when a family comes back together. This is a story about gratitude, about love expressed through action, about finding joy in the ordinary. Please like and subscribe to be part of this heartwarming journey. The morning sun streamed through the hospital window, painting everything in shades of gold. Day sat on the edge of his bed, dressed in his own clothes, for the first time in days. The hospital gown was gone, replaced by the simple shirt and pants Huyen had brought from home. He looked thinner than before his illness, his face still a bit gaunt, but his eyes were bright and alive. The doctor had just left after giving final instructions. Day was well enough to go home. His platelet count had returned to safe levels. His fever had not returned for 3 days. He was weak, yes, but he was healing. And most importantly, he could continue his recovery at home. Huyền moved around the room efficiently, packing up the few belongings they had accumulated during their stay. The blanket she had slept under, the clothes she had changed into, the now empty food containers. Maya's drawing, carefully removed from the wall and tucked safely into the bag. Dee watched her work, noticing how naturally she had taken charge. The shy, uncertain woman he had first met would never have moved with such confidence. This Huyen knew what needed to be done and did it without hesitation. "Are you sure you are strong enough?" she asked for the 3rd time, turning to look at him with worried eyes. Day smiled and stood up, a bit unsteady but managing. "I am sure. The doctor said I could go home. I am ready, Huyen." They said goodbye to the nurses who had cared for Day during his stay. These women had seen him at his weakest and had treated him with such kindness. Day bowed to each of them, his gratitude too deep for simple words. "Take care of yourself," one nurse said, patting his arm gently. "No more working yourself to exhaustion. Your body needs time to fully recover." Day nodded solemnly. He had learned that lesson well. Huyen thanked them too, shaking their hands, her voice thick with emotion. These strangers had saved the man she loved. How do you thank someone for that? Walking out of the hospital felt surreal. Day had entered through those doors on a stretcher, barely conscious, burning with fever. Now he walked out on his own feet, Huyen's hand tucked protectively under his elbow. The sunlight hit his face, warm and brilliant, and he stopped for a moment just to feel it. Hospital air is strange, recycled and sterile. But this air, mountain air, was alive. It smelled of pine and earth and growing things. Day took a deep breath, filling his lungs completely, and felt truly awake for the first time in days. The journey home took them through familiar roads that somehow looked new. Everything seemed more vivid, more precious. The green of the rice terraces seemed impossibly bright. The mountains rose like ancient guardians, solid and eternal. White clouds drifted across the blue sky, casting moving shadows on the land below. Day watched it all from the vehicle window, Huyen beside him. "I was thinking," he said quietly, "when we get home, I want to cook dinner for us. A special meal to celebrate being together again." Huyen turned to him, concern immediately creasing her forehead. "Day, you are still recovering. You should rest, not cook." Let me handle dinner, but Dae shook his head. I need to do this, Huyen. You have taken care of me for days. You slept in that terrible chair. You fed me. You stayed when I told you to go home. Let me do this one thing. Let me take care of you for an evening. His voice was gentle but firm. Huyen wanted to argue, wanted to insist that he was not strong enough yet. But she saw something in his eyes, a need that went beyond physical hunger. He needed to feel useful again, needed to express his love the way he knew best. So she nodded slowly. Okay, but if you get tired, you must promise to let me help. Dee smiled, that beautiful warm smile that had first made her trust him. I promise. Their first stop was Grandmother Lan's house to pick up Maya. As they approached, Dee felt his heart beating faster. He had missed his little girl so much. The house came into view, and there, playing in the small yard, was Maya. She looked up at the sound of their arrival, and for a moment, she just stared. Then recognition lit up her face like sunrise. Papa Dae! She screamed his name and ran toward them, her small legs pumping as fast as they could carry her. Dae had barely stepped out of the vehicle when she crashed into him, throwing her arms around his waist and holding on as if she would never let go. Dae knelt down, ignoring the weakness in his legs, and wrapped Maya in his arms. She was crying, tears streaming down her round cheeks, but they were tears of joy. Papa Dae, you came back! You came back! She kept saying, her voice muffled against his shoulder. Dae felt his own tears start to fall. Of course I came back, sweetheart. I promised, did I not? I will always come back to you. He pulled back to look at her face, wiping away her tears with his thumbs. I am sorry I was gone so long. I am sorry I scared you. Maya shook her head fiercely. You are here now. That is what matters. Huyen stood watching them, her hand pressed to her mouth, trying not to cry. This was what family looked like. Not a father and his biological child, but a man and a little girl who had chosen to love each other. Blood did not make them family. Love did, care did, showing up every day did. And Dae had shown up for Maya in every way that mattered, just as she showed up for him now with her fierce, uncomplicated love. Grandmother Lan came out of the house, smiling at the reunion. He looks much better, she said to Huyen. Still thin, but the color is back in his face. Huyen thanked her profusely for watching Maya, but the older woman waved it off. That child is a blessing. She was no trouble at all. Maya had so much to tell Dae. The words tumbled out of her in a rush as they prepared to go home. She told him about the cookies Grandmother Lan had taught her to make. She told him about the stray cat that had visited the yard. She told him about the dream she had, where he came home, riding a dragon. Dae listened to every word, as if it were the most important thing he had ever heard, his face attentive and loving. Finally, they were ready to leave. Maya insisted on sitting between Dae and Huyen, holding both their hands. As they walked toward home, she swung their arms back and forth, humming a little song. They were together again. Her world was complete. Their house appeared ahead, small and humble but beautiful in its simplicity. It had never looked so good to Dee. This was home. These walls had sheltered them. This roof had kept them dry. This garden had fed them. He had taken it all for granted before his illness, but now every plank and stone seemed precious. They entered together, and Maya immediately pulled Dae to the corner where she had left her drawings. Look, Papa Dae, I drew pictures for you every day. There must have been a dozen sheets of paper, each covered with crayon figures and bright colors. Dae examined each one carefully, praising her work, asking questions about the stories she had tried to tell in pictures. While Day was occupied with Maya, Huyen quietly unpacked their hospital bag and began tidying the house. It was clean, thanks to Grandmother Lan, but it still needed a woman's touch to feel truly settled. She opened windows to let in fresh air. She swept the floor. She changed the sheets on the bed, putting on fresh ones that smelled of sun and wind. She worked automatically, her body moving through familiar tasks. But her mind was elsewhere. She was so tired. The days at the hospital had drained her more than she had realized. Sleeping in that chair, waking at every sound, constantly worrying about D. Now that he was home and safe, the exhaustion hit her like a wave. But there was no time to rest yet. There was still dinner to prepare, the house to organize, Maya to care for. Huyen pushed the tiredness aside and kept working. This was what mothers did, what wives did. They kept going even when they were exhausted because their family needed them. She had learned this from watching other women in her village, and she had learned it from D himself, who had worked himself sick for their sake. Love meant showing up even when it was hard. Love meant putting others first. She would rest later, after everyone was fed and happy. D had other ideas. After admiring all of Maya's artwork, he stood up and announced, "Time for Papa Day to make dinner." Maya cheered, clapping her hands. Huyen started to rise from where she had been arranging pillows, but Day stopped her with a gentle hand on her shoulder. "No, you rest. You have been taking care of me for days. Now I take care of you." Huyen opened her mouth to protest, but Day shook his head. "Please, Huyen, let me do this. I need to do this. Not because I owe you, but because I love you. Because cooking for the people I love makes me happy. You understand that, do not you?" Huyen looked up at him, saw the earnest expression on his face, and felt something melt inside her chest. She did understand. She understood that Eddie expressed love through action, through feeding and providing and creating comfort for others. Denying him this would be like denying him the chance to be himself. So she nodded and settled back against the pillows. "Okay, but you call me if you need help." Day smiled and headed toward the kitchen, Maya skipping along beside him. "Can I help Papa Day?" she asked eagerly. "Of course," Day replied. "You are my special assistant today." From her spot in the main room, Huyen could hear them in the kitchen. Day's low voice explaining what he was doing. Maya's higher voice asking endless questions. The sound of chopping and stirring, and water running. The clang of pots and the hiss of oil heating. Gradually, delicious smells began to drift out from the kitchen. Garlic and ginger, lemongrass and chili, the rich, savory scent of fish sauce. Huyen closed her eyes and let the sounds and smells wash over her. This was peace. This was home. This was happiness so simple and pure that it made her want to cry. She must have dozed off because the next thing she knew, Day was gently shaking her shoulder. "Huyen, dinner is ready." She opened her eyes, momentarily disoriented, then focused on his face smiling down at her. Behind him, the sky outside had deepened to purple. Evening had fallen while she slept. She started to apologize for falling asleep, but Day just laughed softly. "You needed rest. I am glad you got some." He helped her up, and together they walked to the small table where Maya was already seated, practically vibrating with excitement. The table was set simply but beautifully. 3 plates, 3 sets of chopsticks, 3 bowls for rice, and in the center, several dishes of food that made Huyen's mouth water. There was steamed fish with ginger and scallions, the flesh white and tender. There were stir-fried vegetables with garlic, still bright green and crisp. There was a soup, clear and fragrant, with herbs floating on its surface. There was rice, perfectly cooked, each grain distinct and fluffy. It was not fancy food, It was simple country cooking, the kind of meal families had been sharing for generations. But it was made with love, and that made it a feast. They sat down together, the three of them, forming a small circle around the table. A single lamp hung overhead, casting warm yellow light down on them, and leaving the rest of the house in gentle shadow. For a moment, no one spoke. They just looked at each other, at this small family they had built from broken pieces. Then Day picked up his chopsticks. "Let us eat," he said simply, and they began. Maya chattered constantly, telling them about how she had helped Papa to cook, how she had stirred the soup and tasted the vegetables. Day and Huyen listened, laughing at her enthusiasm, occasionally catching each other's eyes over her head and sharing a smile. The food was delicious. Every bite tasted like home, like safety, like love. They ate slowly, savoring not just the food, but the moment itself. Huyen felt the exhaustion lifting from her shoulders, replaced by a deep contentment. She watched to help Maya get vegetables onto her plate, watched him make sure Huyen got the best pieces of fish, watched him glow with quiet satisfaction at seeing his family well-fed and happy. This was who he was at his core. This was what gave his life meaning, and she loved him for it more than she could ever express in words. At one point, under the table where Maya could not see, Huyen reached over and took Day's hand. He looked at her, surprised, and she squeezed his fingers gently. No words were needed. He understood. "Thank you for coming home. Thank you for this meal. Thank you for being you. Thank you for loving us." All of that passed between them in a single squeeze of hands. Dee squeezed back, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. "And you," his touch said. "Thank you for staying. Thank you for caring. Thank you for being my partner. Thank you for making me believe in family again." Maya, oblivious to the silent conversation happening around her, launched into a story about the stray cat that had visited Grandmother Lan's house. She used her chopsticks to act out the cat's movements, making Day and Huyen laugh. The sound of their laughter filled the small house, rising up and floating out through the open windows into the mountain night. If anyone had been passing by, they would have heard it and smiled, recognizing the sound of a happy home. This was what healing looked like. Not just Dee's body recovering from illness, but their whole family recovering from the fear of loss, reconnecting with each other, remembering what they had. After dinner, they cleaned up together. Day washed while Huyen dried, and Maya put things away, standing on a stool to reach the shelves. They moved around each other easily, their rhythm practiced and comfortable. When everything was clean and put away, they sat together in the main room. Maya climbed into Dee's lap, yawning. The excitement of the day was catching up with her. Day stroked her hair gently, and she burrowed against his chest, her eyes drifting closed. Huyen watched them, her heart so full it felt like it might overflow. This moment, this perfect, ordinary, beautiful moment. This was everything she had never dared to hope for. Life is not made of grand gestures and dramatic declarations. Life is made of moments like these. A family sitting together after dinner. A child falling asleep in a parent's arms. Two people who have chosen to love each other. Through sickness and health. Through fear and joy. Through all the ordinary days and extraordinary challenges. Day, Huyen, and Maya had faced a trial that could have broken them. Illness, exhaustion, fear, separation. But instead of breaking, they had bent and then straightened, stronger than before. They had learned to lean on each other, to accept help, to give care, to be vulnerable and brave at the same time. Home is not a place. Home is people. Home is the arms that hold you when you are scared. Home is the hands that feed you when you are hungry. Home is the voice that soothes you when you are upset. Home is the presence that stays when you are sick. Home is the love that does not quit when things get hard. Day had given Huyen and Maya a physical home, but they had all given each other something more important. The knowledge that they belonged to each other, that they would show up for each other, that their commitment was real and lasting. They were a family not because of blood or law, but because they had chosen each other every single day. Thank you so much for joining us on this emotional journey. We hope Day and Huyen's story has touched your heart the way it has touched ours. Life is full of challenges, but with love and commitment, we can overcome anything. The bond between Day, Huyen, and Maya shows us that family is not always what we are born into, but what we build with our choices and our hearts. They have weathered the storm of illness and come out stronger, more connected, more appreciative of each other. But their story is not over. What new challenges might they face? What joys await them? Will their peaceful happiness last? Or will something from the past come back to test them? Join us next time to find out. Please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to be reminded of what really matters in life. Subscribe to Life Single channel so you never miss an episode. Leave a comment telling us about your own family, the people you have chosen to love. What does home mean to you? We would love to hear your stories. Until next time, this is Day and Huyen, reminding you that the greatest wealth is not money or possessions, but the people who sit with you at dinner and make you feel like you belong. Cherish those people. Tell them you love them, show up for them, and remember that sometimes the simplest moments are the most precious. See you in the next episode.